3, 2, 1, 0.
Hey, you! Yeah, you! Come here for a minute. I want to talk to you. Mama says your brain dead, bang your head against the wall. Can't find peace of mind, brain needs an overhaul. Bonehead, brain dead, we're all the same. You can't think straight when your heart is in pain. Turn around, hit the ground, time to lay your burden down.
The views expressed on this broadcast of the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show are those of the co-host and guest,
Yes,
and do
they are.
not necessarily reflect those of our affiliates.
No, they don't.
The topics and opinions on today's show should not be considered as medical, psychological, or professional advice. Take 12 Radio is not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship.
Thank God.
And now, here's your host,
The man, the myth, the legend.
the Monty Man.
I'm telling you the truth.
No, I ain't gonna lie to you. My singing voice. We're all the same. Saved by grace is the name of the game.
Turn around, hit the ground.
Time to lay your burden down. Lay it down, baby. Lay it down. Well, welcome to the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show. Tony's here.
Barely, but yes.
Marv's here.
Yes, sir.
Denver's here.
Good morning.
Denver's back.
Back, yeah.
He was gone last week getting rubber.
Getting tread.
He was getting...
Tread.
Let me explain. He was getting tires on his motorcycle.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That was
Well,
awesome.
I tell you, it's nice swinging into the corners with rubber on.
With rubber on you. Yeah. Bald is not beautiful if you're on a
It's
motorcycle,
not.
right?
It's
no.
not.
Not at all. Well, welcome to the great reality, the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show, broadcasting to you and from beautiful, on the outskirts of beautiful downtown Albany, Oregon, where, as I always say, it is absolutely gorgeous up here in Oregon. Yes, it is. I've got okay, you want to hear my complaint for this week? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. And I'm going to address I'm not going to mention their names, but I hope they're listening, because I'm going to tell them to listen.
Oh my god, this is
My
gonna be
two
good.
Christian brothers who are very strong believers in the Lord, I want to know what's up with this hell yeah baloney.
Huh?
When people post on Facebook, God-fearing Christian men and women that say, if you're sober today, say hell yeah. Why in the world would you give hell the credit
Okay.
for something that heaven did?
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, I don't get it. What do you mean, hell yeah? I'm not going to cuss. I'm going to say heaven yeah.
Is that the post with the rocker standing up there?
Yes.
Okay. I
You know
guess
what I'm
gonna-
talking about.
Well, no, I'm going to have to find out now. I seen the post and I just scrolled right on through it.
Why in the world would I want to glorify hell? I was in hell for years.
Is this like the dude thing?
Yeah, I
It's
guess a little bit.
Probably done by a dude.
Come on. You claim to love Jesus Christ
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
and you want to give hell glory for the fact that you're sober?
All right.
Somebody pull the needle out. Just
I'm
put
gonna
the
have
plug
to
in
look
the
at this
jug
post.
and think
Yeah.
about what you're saying. There we go. There's my wine for...
Got that out of
There's
the way.
my Monday
know.
wine. What do you think, Marv?
See, and he antagonizes it. This happened last week. Go ahead, Marv.
I don't. I'm just here.
Wisdom. Cowboy wisdom.
So, what about hell yeah, dude?
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Talking to a woman. You know,
I did it this time.
hey, woman. Hey, dude. If you're sober, say hell yeah. Dude.
I actually said that the other day. I think we're talking too much about that dude thing. I said it, and the second I did, I realized, oh my goodness, what have I done? Enough.
So here's okay. So the topic this week, and we're going to get to it, is meekness. Meekness. as it relates to our recovery, and we'll be talking about that here shortly. But check this out. This is really cool. Funny man Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey, you guys all know Jim. You know Jim Carrey is? Okay, Tony, you know Jim Carrey. Funny man Jim Carrey recently delivered an inspiring message to a room full of former inmates, saying they chose to walk through the gates of forgiveness to grace. The Golden Globe winning actor made the comments during a visit to Homeboy Industries, a Los Angeles-based organization that provides support to formerly incarcerated people and gang members. So you got to listen real closely, but I want you to hear what he said. Check this out.
And I want to speak to the fact that I believe that this room is filled with God. And that you are heroes to me. And I admire you. Because when you step through these doors, and you decide to be a part of this family, you've made a decision to transcend and to leave darkness behind. And it takes a champion to make that decision. And I really want to speak to the fact that I've had some challenges in the last couple of years myself. Ultimately, I believe that suffering leads to salvation. And in fact, it's the only way. That we have to somehow accept, not deny, but feel our suffering and feel our losses. And then we make one of two decisions. We either decide to go through the gate of resentment, which leads to vengeance, which leads to self-harm, which leads to harm to others, or we go through the gate of forgiveness, which leads to grace. And your being here is an indication that you've made that decision already. You've made the decision to walk through the gate of forgiveness to grace, just as Christ did on the cross. He suffered terribly, and he was broken by it to the point of doubt and a feeling of absolute abandonment, which all of you felt. And then there was a decision to be made. And the decision was to look upon the people who were causing that suffering, or the situation that was causing that suffering, with compassion and with forgiveness. And that's what opens the gates of heaven for all of us. So I wish that for all of you. I wish that for myself. I know that, no matter what I've suffered, most of you have suffered worse than that. But that's why I admire you, because you're here. And you will have grace, because this decision has been made. So I'm so glad to be with you and want to be a part of this. Thank you, Father Greg. Thank you, John.
So Jim Carrey referencing the suffering of Jesus Christ on the cross and him feeling abandoned just like sometimes we do, and talking about forgiveness and grace. Who would have thought?
That was good. I like
Yeah.
that.
Well spoken for him after seeing some of his films.
Right. Well, he's spoken. If you'll notice, in the last couple of years, he's kind of
backed off.
He's been more family oriented, and some things he's been on shows talking about his depression and his drug use, and now he's talking about Jesus. Okay. And I have a funny suspicion that when we get to heaven, there's going to be a whole lot of people we thought were going to be there. Maybe not there, and a lot of people we didn't think, and they're going to be there. I mean, people's lives change. Amen. And just in the last several years, a lot of different celebrities have come to a saving relationship in the Lord. And, when people say, well, did you know rock star so-and-so got saved as a Christian? And I go, that's funny, I haven't heard anything. When they do, you hear about it. They start talking about it. Yeah. There's no denying it, So I thought that was really refreshing.
Yes.
Pretty cool stuff. I'm not a big Jim Carrey fan.
No.
I am now. So that was pretty neat stuff. So hey, listen. So we're gonna have some fun today, As many of you know, here several months ago, I was blessed by a visitation from the gnome world.
Obsession or visitation?
Exactly.
So we have recently discovered the underground civilization of the gnomes here in Oregon. Now, there's actually an organization, a national organization based in Corvallis, that is all about saving the gnomes. Well, they're more about kidnapping the gnomes. They will actually break into people's yards and steal their garden gnomes.
Oh, no.
And so our gnomes go to bed at night. They get put away at night. But we have a number of them, and I thought I would introduce to you our very special guest that I promised on Facebook, Lincoln, our king gnome of our yard. So Lincoln, I want to welcome you to the show.
Well, thank you, Monty Man. It's a pleasure to be on the show. I just want to say I've always looked up to my fellow gnomes. You know, it's so easy for us to get carried away. Ha 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 ha.
Carried away.
He's a lot bigger on the desk, though.
He's right there.
Yeah, don't
No, but that's a compliment. He grew.
So Lincoln, that was kind of a cute joke. It's easy for them to get carried away, right? You pick them up and carry them away. You got something else for us?
Here's another one for you. A gnome joined a nudist colony, but was asked to leave because he kept poking his nose into everybody's business.
Oh, it's going to be one of those shows. Huh?
Okay, so 3 gnome jokes is your limit, Lincoln. So you got another one?
Oh, please, hit us with one more.
Here's one more gnome joke. What is short, has 4 legs, and wears red lederhosen?
What's short and 4
A
legs?
gnome stuck head first in a giant's mouth. Ha 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 ha.
Oh, my God. That one was horrible.
Yeah.
That one was horrible.
Sorry, Lincoln. That one bombed out.
Well, Lincoln, thanks for stopping by the studio, and that's probably way more than enough out of you.
I like him.
Well, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here.
See ya.
So Cecil pulled me aside the other day, and Cecil has something to say.
Well, normally I'm not opposed to having special guests on the show, but I think that Lincoln was the most ridiculous, stupidest thing I've ever seen or heard, and I don't appreciate it very much. So I'm leaving. Bye.
Don't take off, Cecil. Don't take off.
No, that's okay. I'll see you next week. I'm gone.
She did some major damage.
Wow.
So we have a special song. We have a special song in honor of to really tick Cecil off, and in honor of Lincoln and the Gnomes here at Take 12 Radio. Check this out.
Listen.
Ooh.
Do you hear them? It's the gnomes.
When the gnomes go underground with the flowers they have found.
Oh, this is stupid.
They march in boots of black.
I can't believe I'm listening to this. I can't believe I stuck around to listen to this.
Can sing with the seeds they
I'm just perturbed.
before they sleep and wait for spring. When the gnomes go underground with the flowers they have found.
All I've got to say is, have you no shame? Get those gnomes out of here. And I hope you have a good show on the topic of meekness. Nah, 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 nah.
Yeah, all right, we'll be back with the topic right after this.
Turn around, hit the ground, time to lay a burden down.
You can do all things through Christ. He gives you strength. He gives you courage. So lift your eyes to the hope.
This is my
Embrace the change. Feel the freedom. Recover your identity. Now is the time. This is the place. This is your fight song. This is Celebrate Recovery. To locate a Celebrate Recovery fellowship in your area, visit celebraterecovery.com.
This is Tony Morosi from the recovery band Self-Esteem, and we're listening to the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show with the Monty Man on KHLT Broadcasting.
Yes, and welcome back. And, okay, whatever. The topic this week is meekness, and this is inspired by the Character Quality book from Adult and Teen Challenge on the topic of meekness. The opposite quality is anger. The definition of meekness, according to the Character Quality book, is learning how to yield rights and possessions to God, responding properly to anger when others violate our perceived personal rights, learning to earn the right to be heard rather than demanding a hearing. And so we're going to talk about this, but I thought it was really interesting because people misunderstand what meekness is. So there is an essential component for this quality to come into play in one's own recovery, a conflict in which an individual is unable to control or influence their circumstances. Typical human responses in such circumstances include frustration, bitterness, or anger, but the one who is guided by God's Spirit accepts God's ability to direct events. Meekness is therefore an active and deliberate acceptance of undesirable circumstances that are wisely seen by the individual as only part of a larger picture. So people that are able to see the larger picture, people are able to accept that there is a larger picture. Meekness is not a resignation to fate, a passive or reluctant submission to events, for there is little virtue in such a response. The patient and hopeful endurance of undesirable circumstances identifies the person as extremely vulnerable and weak, but inwardly resilient and strong. So meekness is actually about being resilient and strong. Mm-hmm. Meekness does not identify the weak, but more precisely the strong, who have been placed in a position of weakness where they persevere without giving up. The use of the Greek word when applied to animals makes this clear, for it means tame when applied to wild animals. In other words, such animals have not lost their strength, but have learned to control the destructive instincts that prevent them from living in harmony with others. Bottom line, what we're talking about here is emotional sobriety, the ability to be comfortable in one's own skin regardless of the behavior of others, circumstances, or environmental irritations. So being meek doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're strong. And I think we have, in our society, we have misinterpreted that. Well, the meek shall inherit the earth. In other words, the weak shall inherit the earth. Or the wimps shall inherit the earth. Or, you have to be wimpy and everything if you're going to be godly. And that's not what meekness is at all. But being able to respond to things without freaking out. And so here's some questions about meekness, and we can answer these. Do others see you lose your temper?
Oh, yeah.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're in the fast food industry.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And I'm sure that there's a lot of opportunity to just lose it and not be real meek, right?
Oh, I just had one the other day through the drive-thru, so yes.
Did you?
Yeah. It was awful.
Yeah.
I lost it a little bit, but I regained it back.
So there was a guy named Travis that used to work at Teen Challenge, and he came through your drive-thru one time, and he looked at you and said, "Why are you mad at me?" You remember that?
Yes.
He was just teasing with you.
I know.
Right, but you do get some pretty interesting characters that are real demanding.
Very demanding.
Right?
Overly demanding.
They're in a hurry. Mm-hmm. They're angry. And you got to put a smile on your face and just kind of go on.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's hard sometimes, especially like at front counter.
Right.
And so, in front counter, I really have to watch it, though. Well, I have to watch it all the time. Let me rephrase this. But you get that one, and it's just the right time, and you're just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And you kind of...
Yeah.
I usually get a facial expression, which I really have to work on that. But there's been a couple times that I've said a few words.
Do you have a policy at McDonald's when people get really in your face what you're supposed to do with that?
Well, usually get a manager, but sometimes I can't wait that long.
Right. Right.
So usually I kindly say things, but I get the point across.
Sure.
I'm like, I kind of
So-
stay under the radar, but I have had to say things.
Anybody ever see you lose your temper, Marv?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I'm sure.
Anyway, but you never.
Yes.
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 You care to expand? Expound?
One short
Expound.
Expound.
One short story.
Okay.
Somebody had upset me. Actually, a couple of them was. One day I'm walking through the shop, and I went to kick a 5-gallon bucket of water and caught my foot in the pail, fell down, and then they laughed even harder. So, losing your temperature.
Losing your temperature.
Losing your temper sometimes doesn't always work out the best for me.
Right.
I've learned to put a cap on it pretty easily.
So do you acknowledge that you were wrong and ask them to forgive you?
Yes.
Now, that may not be as easy, oh, by the way, customer, I'd like you
I'm
to...
sorry, I love you, let's be friends.
Here's your change.
Here's a cheeseburger. Can we be friends?
Let's see here. Do you ever demand respect from... Okay, you have children, Marv. Do you ever demand respect from your children rather than teach them to be respectful? Do you demand respect? You respect me, I'm your parent.
No, that's kind of a 50-50 thing, because you somewhat demand their respect, but I always have taught Kylie to respect others, so it kind of, I think
Right?
it's
But even when she was little, did you I'm your mother, you will respect me.
Well, yeah.
And demand it instead of teaching them how to be respectful because you're angry or...
Okay, when she was terrible twos are out the window. It was when she was 3. That was horrible. So, a
Okay.
little bit. But then, you got to teach them too. Give and take.
Right.
Like we look at Marv.
Ever demand respect, Marv?
I probably did at one time or another.
Right.
A couple times, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I want to skip this one, but I can't.
It can't be that great.
Do you complain about your boss?
Oh, dear God.
More directly, do you complain about your boss's treatment of you at work? This is exactly what it says.
You know, a lot of them listen to the show too.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I would ask them, do they complain about their bosses?
Yeah.
Especially our boss. Most of us who have bosses are in middle management.
Mm.
You know what I mean? They're really stuck in the middle. They've got somebody above them.
Oh, and I love them all. Don't get me wrong.
And then they've got us.
Yeah.
And then they got to deal with the thems and then the us's. And I've been in middle management before, and that's no fun. Because you've got, especially in the fast food industry, you've got, especially if you're in management, because you've got the franchise owner that is telling you that you have to keep labor costs and food costs at a certain percentage. But to do that, you're going to be understaffed.
Oh, yeah.
And then your employees are going to be very frustrated. And so you're getting yelled at by your employees. You're getting yelled at by your boss because the numbers aren't showing up right. And it can be very frustrating. And you end up complaining a lot about Do you grumble about the fate of the world?
Yeah.
The silent cowboy speaks up.
Do you, Marv?
And quickly, too,
Right?
I might add.
Mostly to myself, but
Yeah.
Yeah, amen.
That was a quick reaction.
So I was
crazy out there.
It is.
It's
What
crazy
can
out
you
there.
say?
So I'm watching the news the other day, and I posted on Facebook. I said, after watching this evening's news, I think people are much more than just confused. I think they've, and then in all caps, they've lost their minds. Okay, so I'm going to tick people off. That's nothing new. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. You got guys that want to be girls. You got girls that want to be guys. You got girls that want to be girl guys. Or whatever. There's a Bible theme park somewhere. I can't remember where it is, back in the Midwest, and there's a giant ark, like Noah's Ark, and there is these colors projected onto the ark of the colors of the rainbow, because the rainbow was God's promise in the Old Testament to never destroy the world by flood. So the rainbow belonged to the people that followed God. And so there's a rainbow that is superimposed on this giant ark as part of the Bible story. Well, there are members of the certain movements in this country that are all ticked off, and they're angry that they got their rainbow stolen from them. Well, hey, it belongs to God. It doesn't belong to you. It doesn't belong to me. It belongs to God.
What do you mean they got it stolen?
They think that the rainbow is the symbol of the
diversity,
the diversity of the gay movement and all that. And so they think we stole it. That the Christians stole it.
See, I don't agree with that part.
That's crazy. I mean,
that's taking it a little too far.
That is ridiculous.
And I mean, I love everyone equally, and I hate everyone equally as well. But that, that part, you guys are kind of reaching.
And I'm like, really? So I'm watching that, and then I'm watching this teenager who's battling this court case to fight his parents because he wants his nipples removed and his private parts removed because he doesn't want to be a boy or a girl. He wants to be neuter. He wants his right to be neuter. So he wants his nipples and his private parts removed. And I'm watching all this stuff on the news, and I'm just like, it is really easy to fall into grumbling about the way the world is going because it is absolutely insane. And if you're not careful, you're not going to be meek about it. You're not going to, because you can stand for something and be mature and still be loving, right? That kid doesn't need anybody screaming at him. He needs some love, man. Something's going on.
Yeah.
Right? People are way more about what than their sexual identity. People are deeper than that.
Yeah.
But we're yelling at them for that, and that's not helping either. And so then you got companies that, you got a donut shop a giant donut place that's making phallic symbols out of donuts, and you got people of faith that can't bake the things they want to bake. I mean, you got everybody fighting and arguing, and so it's really easy to go, you know what? I just wish I was on the moon somewhere. And
in heaven.
Yeah. But like one of my sponsors used to tell me, Monty, if you were on the moon, you'd be there. So you'd have something to grumble about them because you got to deal with yourself, So do we complain about the fate of the world, the way the world's going? I think we do. I think if we spent more time praying for each other and showing compassion with each other than ripping each other apart, maybe we'd be a better example of meekness. Do you demand prompt attention and service in a store or a restaurant? I'm not going to go with the restaurant because you already experienced that. But when you're in a store or something, do you go, I mean, why is this line taking so long?
Demand? No.
Yeah.
But
do you get frustrated?
Grumble a little?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
that's what they're there for, Monty.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Huh?
What? The long lines?
The service. They're there to serve, and it's been my experience, continues to be, when you go into, let's say, any big store that has a multitude of different craft items like electrical, painting, lumber, tools, okay, and you have a question about something, in the electrical department, you're there to try to, and you cannot get
any customer service
because the people who are doing the job do not know what they're doing. They do not know what
they haven't been trained in that area or anything.
Right.
Right.
And that, to me, that's very frustrating.
It is.
Because you have this kind of concept that you're going in there because they specialize in that particular thing, and you're going in there to get service.
Particularly if it's a store that is their main focus.
Yeah.
Like Economy Lumber or something like that. You go in there, you want to talk to a guy about lumber, and he doesn't know anything about lumber. So if you go into Walmart where it's a plethora of different things, that's more understandable, right? But if you go
not maybe, I guess.
Well, because I was in Bi-Mart the other day looking for some shelving for the garage. And in typical Bi-Mart style, as it is with Staples, by the way, they advertise stuff, but then they don't have it in the store. And they don't give rain checks out anymore. Remember the days of rain checks? So I'm like, well, you advertise it, but you don't carry it. That's right.
That's right.
So
I'm like, what?
So isn't that a lack of service?
Of course.
Okay, now I'm about to piss people off. I'm sorry. It's the millennials. It's that generation.
Is it though? I don't think so.
I think it is.
I don't know. Baby boomers do it. Generation X does it.
Not as bad though.
People older
Those are
than
the same
me.
ones that want respect, but won't do anything.
My
to give
son's
it.
a millennial. He didn't act
I
like
didn't
that.
say all of them. I said most of them.
Yeah.
I'd say at least 90% of them.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's if you really pay attention in stores and stuff, and even in my restaurant, it's that generation. I'm sorry, it is
entitlement.
So
entitlement. Thank you.
If we're gonna be meek, though, are we gonna?
I wish I had the reverse side with me. Right
How
now.
are we gonna respond to those things? How do we respond to those? How do you respond to that when you're in the store and these people don't even give? Not only are they not trained, they really don't care.
That's what I'm saying.
Can I tell you what happened to me the other day?
Yeah.
This is the truth, okay? It's not a story. So I'm in one of the popular hamburger joints, and they were extremely busy. They were shorthanded. Everybody was going nuts around there, and I'm standing there waiting to order, and I look over and I see this couple standing by the drink machine.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm standing there, and this gal comes up to me. She says, "Well, I'll just be just a minute, and I'll be right back to you." I said, "Okay." So I stood there, and I stood there, and I stood there. And I'm looking around, and I'm reading signs and kind of watching people and all that. I finally get my order, and I go to the booth. Meanwhile, that couple I saw at the fountain had walked out the door.
Wait, did they work there though?
No, they were just customers. They walked out the door, and I seen it, and I go to my booth, and I'm sitting there and getting ready to eat my hamburger or whatever it was I ordered, and I looked up, and here this gal from that couple is standing at my table. I do not know these people from Adam.
Oh my God.
And she's standing there, and she's smiling at me, and she says, "They don't have gift cards here. I was going to give you a gift card." And I looked at her. She said, "I cannot believe how patient you were standing there waiting." And she said, "I just want you to know that we noticed it."
Wow.
Cool.
So my point of the story is, number one, people are watching.
Mm-hmm.
They are.
And they're people you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
That is a really good point.
And number two, that part of meekness?
I think so.
Yeah.
Is that part of what we're talking about?
I think so. And I think I think out of everything we've said today, I think that is really pertinent. People are watching. People are watching. That statement. I'd rather see a sermon any day than hear one. Mm-hmm. People are watching, and what does the Word of God say? They'll know who you believe in by your love.
Yeah.
And are we blowing up at the person behind the counter? It may not be their fault. Mm-hmm. I know people are not trained. And then they're thrown into positions where they have to deal with customers and they don't have proper training.
So part of meekness too, wouldn't it be the idea of not only giving up your rights to a certain extent, but also lowering your expectations? Like I said, when I go into a store, I expect that the people who are working in those areas know what they're talking about.
Right.
So I need to lower my expectations. Is that part of what we're talking about?
Yeah, maybe that's what we need to do. I have found, particularly with Walmart, that with all the different employees I see running around, when I need help in a department, I can't find any.
Yeah.
So I try to do some investigation online about a product before I ever go there, and it kind of eliminates that. Then I can go right to where I need to go and get it. And so I don't know. I guess that maybe that's doing our part so we don't get frustrated. But we do have this. We have this entitlement. We talk about other people feeling entitled, like you're talking about millennials. But we have this entitlement too, that we are entitled for you to be able to fulfill our expectations, and maybe we're not entitled to that.
Yeah, because they do say expectations leads to future resentments. So
Right.
I guess.
Yeah, it's a hard thing. If you're in a sit down restaurant and the waiter or waitress totally forgets you, so I have a solution to that. I don't tip, and I get dirty looks, like from family members and stuff. Well, you shouldn't go out to dinner unless you can afford to tip. Really?
Not if they're not doing their job.
I mean, it's very simple. If you treat me disrespectfully as the waiter, you get paid an hourly wage. You get paid to do what you do. I have no problem tipping you if you go. I think you should get tipped. But if you forget me and my food's cold and all this, I'm not going to tip you.
Yeah.
Now that's not being non-meek. I'm just not tipping. I'm not going to be rude. Some people would say that was rude, though, right? What do you think? What do you think, Denver? You think not tipping is rude, or do you think that you shouldn't tip if somebody treats you disrespectfully?
Oh, boy.
Are you going to give us a tip?
No, I'm not going to try to do that as much as I'd like to. I want to be treated with respect, and not unlike you, when you walk into a place for service, a business, you expect those working that business to give you service, right? That's why we're there. We're not there just to necessarily buy the product. We are there to buy the product, but we really want somebody to be able to assist us with that. So that's not being wrong in expecting
that's not unreasonable.
That. No, that is part of their service to you. Now, they probably could not be holding up to their end of the meekness. Maybe they're having a bad day.
Right.
And this whole meekness word has been lost after hearing you read that. Yeah, when you hear the word meek, you think of cowardly, just
downtrodden.
Weak,
yeah, right.
And that's beautiful that it's not that way, even though we take it that way. But yeah, I expect service, and I will grumble about it, I'm sure, under my breath, quite a bit of that, if I don't get it.
Can you be firm but not harsh?
Yes.
I think so.
Yes.
I think it's okay to go to management and say, I have to tell you that I do not appreciate the way I was treated, but I understand that there are circumstances, but I need to let you know.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was a store owner, I would want to know.
Yeah.
I think some don't want to know.
Oh, well, I suppose they don't. But
right.
Yeah, you're right. You're doing somebody a favor if you maybe they don't even realize what they've mentioned or not done. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And you mention it to them. You'll never fix a problem if you're not aware of the problem.
That's right.
We have that with students. If they're not aware of they're doing something, I had a guy come to the table while I was talking with you.
Yeah.
And he obviously has not been brought up in a family with manners enough to realize that when you're coming up on somebody in a conversation, you just don't pull up a chair and sit down and interrupt. So I'm willing, I've already explained this. I'm willing to help this gentleman learn that. But there's nothing wrong with respecting and wanting respect.
Sure.
Give and take on that.
What do you think, Tony? But
I
wanting
agree with
respect and
not-
demanding respect are two different
exactly.
things.
No, I agree with you on the tipping thing, because if you're not doing your job, you're not doing your job.
Sure.
Especially if it's... And I do the same thing. I just don't tip if I go.
I don't
I'm getting
understand.
real-
I don't understand them, and I know people are going to be. There's lots of opinions about this. But I don't understand the mentality that says that, if I save a certain amount of money so I can go out to dinner, but I don't have money to tip, that I don't have the right to go pay for my dinner. I think I do.
Yeah.
Tipping's that's a courtesy. It's above and beyond
That's a
what I'm going to
bonus.
pay. But if I simply if I only have enough to buy my meal, I still should be able to buy my meal. I don't think I'm being rude.
No.
Even if your service is excellent.
Sometimes you just can't tip.
But there are people that are very adamant about that. If
Oh,
you
yeah.
can't afford a tip, you don't have no right going out to dinner.
But that's selfish right there.
But then there's the side of the coin. I don't know what the laws are here in Oregon. I know back in Iowa, years ago, they taxed you based on an average, saying that if you work in the food service industry as a waiter or a waitress, you are making this much in tips. We're assuming that, and so we're going to tax you on that, whether you make that or not.
Yeah, they do that in Washington too.
Okay, but why am I as a customer obligated to pay your taxes? So I don't know. That's me in the tipping thing, but
And I've worked and sit down.
I'll drop it.
Yeah, no.
Going back, do you
Left field.
Do you grumble about tipping? Yeah, I grumble about that.
Next week's topic.
Yeah. So there's a lot of distractions in our world today that can really get us into an area where we're not being meek, where we are grumbling, where we are just in a rotten mood about everything. And we all know people that walk around like that. No matter how good their day is, they've got to find something wrong with it. And nobody wants to be around that guy or gal. You just don't. And so sometimes I think we can be unaware that we're doing that because we've maybe hit a whole bunch of different unfortunate circumstances in our week, and we're unaware of our demeanor and the way we're acting, and we're not being meek. And again, you can have a rotten week and still show kindness. You can be around some real knuckleheads and still show kindness. There's no real excuse for being rude once you know
God is talking again.
that was cool. Once you know and have the tools to not act like that. And if you do act like that, there is a way to go around making an amends, right? We talk about amends. Tony, gosh, I'm really sorry I acted that way. I'm going to do my best not to do that again. Will you forgive me?
Yeah. I will forgive you too.
Yeah.
This is something we can practice all the time.
Sure.
I have to every day at work.
Yeah.
There's 2 people I work with, and they're just miserable.
If you're aware of it, it gets easier. It's
right.
But it's not. It just becomes part of you. It's like, oh, I'm grumpy. I better change that right now.
Exactly.
And quickly make amends, because the farther you go and feed that bitter seed, the worse it's going to be.
Yep.
You bet. You bet. Well, listen, next week's topic is cautiousness. The opposite quality is rashness or carelessness. And we're going to be talking about being cautious. The definition is learning that unfamiliar situations may contain danger. Boy, this is really used for addicts and alcoholics in recovery.
Yeah.
Gaining adequate counsel before making decisions. Seeing future consequences of present actions. Learning to detect and avoid evil and ungodly people, recognizing temptations and fleeing from them. So we put ourselves in positions to to be compromised, to be hurt, to be put in danger a lot of times because we want to do what we want to do. We're not being meek. We're holding on to our rights. I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it, and no one's going to tell me any different. And then we end up getting ourselves into trouble because we're not being cautious, and then we're mad at the world. So we're going to be talking about that next week.
Is Lincoln going to be here?
No, Lincoln won't be here ever again.
The people in the audience that are listening should know that Lincoln is standing on your desk.
Yes.
And he's staring at us.
Yes.
And they should know that I am very intimidated by that.
Well, the YouTube version actually has a picture of Lincoln on it, so everybody can see Lincoln.
Yeah, and if you're friends with me, he'll be posted today, too, on Facebook.
Yeah, he'll be on Facebook.
Did you take a picture of him with the mic and everything?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, good. I want to see.
Lincoln will never...
In all his gnomeness.
But I think the mic would work better if he was on the floor.
You know my little favorite saying? I can't gnome.
Ah! Oh! High five. Good one, Marv.
I can't gnome. Oh, no.
You should put that on a shirt.
I can't gnome. All right, so here is probably a very uncomfortable. Well, probably it is an uncomfortable topic, but I need to bring it up. We're beginning to get closer and closer to the month of August. August is our huge expense month for the station, and so this is where a lot of our bills come due. Our yearly bills for our different software and our domain and all that kind of stuff. So if you are inclined to not donate, but you've thought about donating, do it.
Don't be meek. Don't be meek about this.
So all you got to do is go to take12radio.com, and at the bottom of the page, you can click on the donate button, and it'll tell you how to either write a check or donate with credit card or make reoccurring donations if you want to do that. If it's a rather large one, please email me and talk to me about it. Because if you go through PayPal, they take almost 3%. And if you're going to do a large donation, we'd rather you write a check. So why pay them interest, you know? But just keep that in mind. Pray about it. And if you feel led to donate, it'd be much appreciated. And speaking of that, thank you for helping Tony.
Yes, thank you.
With Heaven Spelled Backwards.
Yeah.
Nineveh, or whatever her name was.
Nevaeh.
Yes. Nevaeh.
In 2 days, did you see that?
Yes, in 2 days. So Marco Ronzi.
Yeah, it's going to say Marco. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Marco. And then you had an anonymous.
Anonymous.
Oh!
Anonymous.
It's inbred in me now.
A very nice gentleman who's a regular at my work.
Wow.
Yeah.
Donated. So, wow, that's great. And so, I mean, it was around $600 or something, right? That the bill was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that include follow-up visits, so.
Yeah, right on. And how's Puppy doing?
Well, if she would leave her dressing alone, it could actually heal, but it's not bleeding. It's like a paper
Does
cut
she have
now.
a cone on?
Yeah,
Does that help?
Cone. Well, yeah, it does, but
it's funny to
you
laugh
give her
at
that
least.
1 inch, and she's too smart for her own good.
Right.
Give her that one little non-cone time.
Right.
I know James and I looked down at her leg one time and we're like, we just took your cone off. So we had to wrap it back up over the weekend, but
yeah,
it's slowly healing. Though. Thank you, everybody.
Good for her. Well, thank you for your prayers. And we noticed that is it your niece, your cousin, your whatever?
Oh, Shelby?
Shelby. They got a new
Shelby?
puppy.
I know. It's so cute.
Yeah.
It's an Aussie Australian Shepherd. Yeah. To go with big old Ollie Bear.
Right. Well, our closing song this week is by Michael Purrington and the Messengers. It is entitled Hillbilly Higher Power. It's kind of a fun song. Check it out.
Well, I can see him up in paradise, sitting on a bale of hay, listening with a country grin while all us sinners pray. He's picking on a guitar with golden ringing strings, while a choir of down home old time angels sings. I got a hillbilly higher power looking out for me tonight, telling me in a bluegrass melody what is and what ain't right. There's a good old boy in the afterlife who's glad to be my guy. I got a hillbilly higher power by my side. He's jamming with Hank Williams on a song that Jesus wrote. Every lick is perfect, man, they never miss a note. The words are front porch simple, they're singing clear and clean. When that tune comes to me, I can't help but be serene. I got a hillbilly higher power looking out for me tonight, telling me in a bluegrass melody what is and what ain't right. There's a good old boy in the afterlife who's glad to be my guy. I got a hillbilly higher power by my side. When I pass through those pearly gates, God will have a draw. He'll say, how you been doing? Come on in, y'all. He knows that I was lost without him, lonesome, sad, and sick. But with a hillbilly higher power, I'm no longer up the creek. I got a hillbilly higher power looking out for me tonight, telling me in a bluegrass melody what is and what ain't right. There's a good old boy in the afterlife who's glad to be my guy. I got a hillbilly higher power by my side. I got a hillbilly higher power looking out for me tonight, telling me in a bluegrass melody what is and what ain't right. There's a good old boy in the afterlife who's glad to be my guy. I got a hillbilly higher power by my side. I got a hillbilly higher power by my side.
Michael Purrington and the Messengers. Until our next broadcast, this is the Monty Man along with the Take 12 Recovery Radio family, and we are wishing God's perfect serenity for you. Bye-bye now.
Good guys, bad boys, we're all the same. Saved by grace is the name of the game. Turn around, hit the ground, time to lay a burden down.
This has been a broadcast of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.
Cause she's a super cat, she's super kitty, meow.
Here, kitty, 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 kitty. Meow.